This video is sponsored by Storyblocks. What's good, creative fam? Brandon Washington here, and welcome back to another behind the scenes breakdown. You guys enjoyed the last one so much, and I got some great comments on it that I wanted to go ahead and bring this back, but this time with a slightly different twist. Over on my Instagram page, I actually posted and asked you guys to let me know what questions you guys had about the specific shoot that I did. I showed some of the behind the scenes of it on Instagram, so if you're not following me, be sure to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, because that's typically where you're going to get most of the behind the scenes stuff early. But you guys sent in some questions, so I want to go ahead and take the time now to answer those questions, showing you guys how I actually do all of my video production jobs. Okay, so this first question comes in from Imrod191, and his question is, what was the vision you saw to create the content to life? What was the vision you saw to create the content to life? What? So when it comes to my vision, when it comes to creating these types of videos, everything falls in line with the story that I'm trying to tell. Most of the time when I do these interview, A-roll with a lot of B-roll over top type of videos, it really does come down to that story. Now, a couple things that I do to help tie that story in together is I always interview first before shooting B-roll. And the primary reason for this is when you're interviewing people, they're gonna tell you things about their business. They're gonna tell you elements about their company or their story that maybe you didn't know going into it, even if you did research, even if you pre-interviewed them. So I typically like to make sure that I always shoot my B-roll second. So after shooting my A-roll, I know the story that I'm gonna be telling, and then I can shoot B-roll that goes alongside it. Another thing is that when I go into these types of spaces, shooting these kinds of videos, one of the big things that I always look for is what makes this video unique. And a lot of times that is the people and the spaces. And what I really try to do is, instead of trying to create the vision that I necessarily had, I primarily go in there with a completely open mind, and I look at what is gonna be best for this location, and ultimately what's gonna allow me to tell the best story at this place. Now, following up with the next group of questions, because this popped up quite a few times, whether that was equipment used, which lenses was I using and why, and then someone else also asked, what was my lighting setup for this video? So when it comes to the gear, this entire video was shot using my Red Komodo, and the Red Komodo has definitely become my go-to camera when shooting these kind of videos. The primary reason being the Red Raw Kodak. I love this Kodak. It allows me to have so much more latitude and longitude when I'm actually working in post, and ultimately it's just the camera that I'm going to be running with for pretty much the foreseeable future. Now, next to the camera, one of the next pieces of gear that I get questioned about the most is definitely the lenses. Now, the lenses that I run with my Red Komodo are the Zine cinema lenses. Now, I currently have the 24, 35, 50, and 85, and I primarily don't use the 35 that much, primarily just because this camera is a super 35mm sensor, so it kind of crops in. And even though 35 is my favorite focal length, on this camera it really has become the 24, which I actually happen to be filming on right now. But the 24, 50, and 85 are the lenses that I bring on set with me every time. And the main reason why I love these lenses is because they're very sharp, they're very well built, they look fantastic on this camera, and they produce an image that personally I think looks very sharp and clinical, which is typically what I need for these type of commercial jobs. If I wanted something a little bit more artsy, a little bit more creative, I would probably go with some of the more vintage type lenses. But for the jobs that I'm currently doing, these lenses are perfect. By being able to just throw on my Polar Pro matte box right over the lens because they fit perfectly, it really is just a match made in heaven for me to be able to go out and shoot quickly. When it comes to lighting, I use almost all aperture lighting with the occasional extra little lighting added in here and there. So my main key light for this video was actually my Aperture Nova going through a 4x4 Westcott diffusion. I showed this in the last video, and this really has become my main go-to lighting source. The main reason why I love this light so much is because it is RGB, but it's actually super color accurate when it comes to trying to balance this light with natural light coming through windows. Now, next to my Aperture Nova, another one of my go-to lights has definitely been my brand new Pavo tubes from Nanlite. These lights are excellent accent lights, especially because they are RGB and they allow you to just add that extra little pop of color to really bring your A-roll shot to that next level. In this space, the actual owner had this really cool purple light bulb that he had a really cool story behind, and he wanted that to be in the A-roll shot, which normally I would probably go against that because it really just kind of stuck out and it really didn't mean anything in the entire space. However, by me being able to add in my Pavo Nanlite, it actually allowed that purple light bulb to have grounds in the space. And by having two different sources of these lights and being able to balance them in the frame, in my opinion, it really helped elevate the overall look of this A-roll shot. Now, the next question comes from Hala Mohammed, which is pre-production to post-production. Really want to know, how do you organize your workflow? Now, when it comes to organizing how we do our shoots, there's a lot that actually go into this. One of the first ones is being organized from the start. We plan out every single one of these shoots from pre-production, production to post-production. And right now, we've been shooting anywhere from 6 to 12 projects a month, which has definitely been keeping us busy. So how are we actually going about this? Well, everything starts in pre-production. We actually spend more time in pre-production than we probably spend anywhere else. And this is just to make sure that the idea, the vision, the elements that we need are already there. So by the time this project gets to production and post-production, all the hard work has already been done. When it comes to production, each of my jobs are pretty much customized for that project. So there's not like one cookie cutter way that I can tell you to go about doing this, but I will say that if you do your work in pre-production, production does come a whole lot easier. When it comes to post-production, everything follows through the same chain of command every single time, except obviously the edit itself. So whenever a project is finished being shot, the first thing we do is we back up that project onto 2 different drives. From there, we pre-edit everything, and what that means is we just go through the project and make sure that we find the best clips, the best A-roll sound bites, the best B-roll, and we kind of put that into a folder to make it easier for whoever ends up actually doing the finalized edit. From there, that project goes into the actual editing phase, where one of our editing creatives will actually pick up the project and basically go ahead and edit it to the customer standard. And then from there, that project gets sent out to the client for approval. And most of the time, we don't get too many little bits of like knickknacks and little things that they want us to change because we've done so much work in the pre-production process. But every so often, we do have to make some adjustments. So when we do that, it goes back into the editing process again. It goes through, it gets edited, sent back off to client, and typically by that point, it gets approved. Now, real quick, before we jump into our next question, I want to quickly give a huge shout out to this video sponsor, Storyblocks. If you're a filmmaker and you are constantly shooting videos and you're in need of stock video, Storyblocks has definitely become one of our favorite go-to resources. Not only do they have over 1 million different assets, they don't just have stock video, they also have other assets that you could possibly need, from music to photos to even having After Effects and Final Cut plugins to make your editing process that much easier. And the best part about having Storyblocks is you don't just have to use them for your own personal projects, you can even use them for commercial projects as well. So if you are shooting videos like I am for clients, this is definitely a resource that I strongly recommend. For a monthly low rate price, you're able to have access to unlimited downloads across the entire Storyblocks website. So if you're interested, definitely check out the links down below in the description. Trust me, you won't regret it. All right, the next question comes from Kelly, and she said, what video number is this for you this month, and will you get to 200? So for those of you guys who saw in the last video, we have definitely been busy, so busy in fact that we've actually started hiring, trying to bring on new people, and I've been saying that over on my Instagram page. And so if you are someone who is really good at Final Cut editing, definitely send me over your portfolio. If you are based in Houston, that is a giant plus, but if you are good and we can figure out a way to work remotely, I'll definitely consider it. But you can send all those inquiries down to the email address down below. But yes, we have been shooting a lot. We haven't quite shot 200 videos yet this month, but next month, I'm not even joking, we probably will cross over 200 videos exported. Not necessarily 200 projects shot, but a lot of these projects have multiple videos attached to them. So next month, we probably will end up doing over 200 exports, which is insane to even think about. And the last question comes from, I believe is Adalia Productions. I'm gonna die on that hill. I'm gonna say Adalia Productions, and he says everything. LOL. I'm trying to be you. Look, if there's anything else you guys want me to cover in future videos, please let me know. As you guys can tell, today I'm just chilling in my backyard trying to make some content for you guys, because I know right now we are swamped on the production side of my business, but that doesn't mean that I want to stop creating content here on YouTube. My goal on this channel has always been to help you guys out and to help make your video production. My goal has always been to help make your video production process as easy as I possibly can. I have created an entire training course on shooting interviews, and so if you want more detailed look at how I go about do that, definitely check out the links in the description if you want to know about that. Also, if you missed the last breakdown where I actually broke down my lighting setup and everything that went into creating one of these type of videos, you can definitely check that out. It's probably going to be up on the screen. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If there's any other questions you guys have about video production, whether that's the shooting, the business side, pre-production, production, post-production, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.